Fiona and Tim, they're incredibly brave, aren't they, given that this has just happened to their son in the past week. Mitch, and on a personal level, it must be heartbreaking to see another family go through the tragedy of what goes wrong when you take drugs.
Yeah, it's horrendous, and of course it doesn't only affect Daniel in this instance, it affects the whole family, it affects the whole community. But really the emphasis shouldn't always be with the parents. The emphasis should be the responsibility is also with the young person as well. You know, some of them are very young. We have to get to the young people early. I mean, Simon's here. We have our schools resilience program. We're in partnership with Addaction in our schools resilience program, and the whole idea is early intervention. Speak to the young people as early as we can. Any clinical problems, obviously, Addaction step in with counselling and therapy, and give young people as much information as you can as early as possible without saying to them, don't drink, don't take drugs. Just give them the information. Let them know what MDMA is. Let them know what ecstasy is. Let them know what ketamine can do to them if they mix it with alcohol. Give them the information. Young kids are smart, and believe you me, there won't be as many instances as this if we get to the young people earlier.
Because the sad facts are, things like this happen a lot. Maybe not a lot, but they do happen, don't they? Daniel's case is, you know, you go out for a Saturday night out, you think you're having fun with your mates, and you never go home. Why is ecstasy becoming such a big problem, or an increasing problem in this country?
Well, I think the first thing we have to recognise is that the vast majority of young people understand the risks and are well informed, but there are a significant number that find getting that information really difficult. There are challenges in their lives, and that's where this sadly regular occurrence comes up. And I think what Mitch is saying is absolutely right. We need to recognise that the best way to deal with this is to really understand that the just say no kind of approach isn't going to work. We've got to get underneath and understand why it is that
but Mitch,
young
the problem
people are
is surely
challenged by this.
Whoever it is, you just don't know what you're taking, do you? In terms of within an ecstasy, and you don't know how your body's going to react to it. So there are huge risks.
There's this epidemic of so-called legal highs and party drugs. Legal doesn't mean safe. Next week it will be made illegal. The manufacturers will just change a chemical component and it's legal again. You know, you can't make every drug illegal. And the only way to deal with it is education. Give young people the information that they need so that they are able to make informed choices. Then they will make the correct choice.
And Simon, interesting you to talk about education, because we've had some opinions on this. Jenny Collins from Facebook says, how much more education on the subject do kids need? If the message hasn't sunk in yet, then it never will. But Ian Hansen says more education of the dangers of need in schools. So if you're all going around schools, or what are you saying to children?
Well, I think that the important part, which Mitch has already touched on, is this issue of resilience. It is absolutely not going to work if we just go into schools and tell young people not to take drugs. We've got to educate them about the risks so that they can make informed choices, but also build up their self-confidence and their self-esteem. So when they're put into situations where those kind of challenges, those risky behaviours present themselves, they can actually think again about the kind of decisions that they might take. And that is missing in our education system today. Building that resilience around drugs and alcohol is not there at the moment.
It's not only drugs and alcohol. You know, our resilience program is also about peer pressure. It's also how young people can say no, how to resist peer pressure. And that encompasses so many different things. It encompasses alcohol. You know, all your friends are going out every Friday or Saturday night. They're getting drunk, they're getting high. Why aren't you a part of this?
But Fiona and Tim had a very good relationship with their son. They said they talked about the dangers of ecstasy, you know, with him. So, I mean,
it's very difficult. You know,
very difficult, isn't it?
I speak to parents, bereaved families all of the time. You know, they're a wonderful family. Look at this handsome young man. Unfortunately, it doesn't mean anything. The problems of drug addiction, although this was supposedly one exposure, that's the danger, one exposure. This isn't a young man who's been a heroin addict for 40 years or has been an alcoholic for 15. This is supposedly one exposure of MDMA. That's how That's how dangerous this stuff
Mitch,
is.
what do you say to people who are watching tonight? I mean, what did you say, drawing on your experiences with Amy, what did you say to her? What do you think parents could say to their children about, you know, going out to the big wide world and being faced with, you know, trying things like this?
Well, my own personal situation with my daughter is that I was in exactly the same position as Daniel's mother and father are, trying to do the best that I could do. My family were trying to do the best that we could do. But, you know, really you need outside intervention. You need somebody who's not the father or the grandfather. You need somebody who's been there and done it, somebody who's in recovery, to really get the message across to young people. And that's what we're doing with Addaction's help. That's what we're doing with our resilience program.